Hey guys, welcome back to Reality Check, please. I'm your host, Cassie, and happy Friday. We just uploaded our recap of the finale episode of season three's Perfect Match on Netflix. So if you haven't already watched it, make sure you head on that way after this episode. I'll link it in the screen in the last few seconds of this video. Today, we're going to be talking about Sandy's interview with Nick Viall on the Viall Files podcast that aired yesterday. She went a little bit into detail of her history with JR, her history as far as a timeline from filming The Ultimatum and The Perfect Match, and how that definitely influenced a lot of her decisions or entertainment of JR in the house. But before we jump into all that, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Let me know where you're watching from. Drop a comment. Any little bit of engagement will help push this video out in front of fresh new faces, push our channel in front of fresh new faces who love reality TV, who love to just give hot takes, serve reality checks, and have a little bit of fun and build a community. We are about 7 people away from hitting our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Actually, it just changed to 4. I know my screen is blurry, but we are 6 people away from reaching 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which was our next goal. I want to see if we can get it done before the end of the day. Help us with any little bit of engagement. Pop off in the comment section and let's jump right in. So if you are a Viall Files girly like I am, I started watching the Viall Files around the time of Scandival. So obviously it was such a crazy time. I have been a Viall Files girly since then, over 2 years already. And I love Nick and Natalie's hot takes. They have very different hot takes sometimes, which makes us appreciate their opinion that much more because not everyone has to agree. And that's exactly what I want to kind of build with our channel. We want to have a safe space where you can share your opinion and not always have to agree with everybody. Like go against the grain, be like a salmon that swims upstream, be different, give us those different hot takes. And that's exactly what Nick Viall does. Sometimes it's not what we want to hear. Sometimes it is what we want to hear, but they're always going to be unapologetically themselves. And so Sandy was originally on with her ex after The Ultimatum finished airing. I know that we said before Perfect Match aired that we saw a different kind of Sandy on The Ultimatum. I think a lot of why we got the edit of Sandy that we did was because of JR. So Sandy explained a little bit of the timeline. They filmed The Ultimatum over a year ago. They then filmed Perfect Match last September, so almost a year ago. She had not seen the edit that was given to JR or how her edit came across on The Ultimatum until after she even filmed The Perfect Match. The Ultimatum did not air until last December. She had already filmed The Ultimatum, already filmed Perfect Match. Then The Ultimatum aired and she saw what maybe she didn't see from JR while filming, which was obviously addressed on the reunion, which was by that point also again too late for her because she had already filmed Perfect Match. If you did not watch The Ultimatum, then you may not understand the type of man JR is. He showed a little bit of himself on The Perfect Match. And even Nick Viall said this on the podcast yesterday. He has this history with Sandy having her on the podcast prior. So he was like, why the F did you even entertain JR? Like, what were you thinking? Did you not learn from the first time? And she's like, Nick, like the timeline of it all. So she did not know who JR truly was away from what she saw. She said, having watched it back, having watched The Ultimatum back, having addressed his sexual remarks at the reunion of The Ultimatum, at that point, like I said, it was too late for her. She had already filmed Perfect Match as well, which is why she didn't have much context as to who this man was in front of the camera. Am I explaining myself? I feel like it's a little confusing. Sandy says that when she was filming The Perfect Match, she started to kind of realize and see that he would turn one way on camera and then another off camera, how he got real cocky and how she even checked him on that final date that we saw on episode 9. She says, I really wish that they would have aired that. And Nick asked her, like, what did you tell him? Or what happened? What triggered you to like blow up on him? She said, I can't remember exactly what he said, but you caught a glimpse of what he said. Because it was when he was trying to talk all this mad shit about Louis and how he's like, you're babysitting. You need someone older than you. Why are you going to date someone that's younger than you? And she like popped off on him. She says, I really wish that you would have seen that because I really did rip him a new one. Having that context, we now know why she was so cold and quick to put him in his place when they got back to the house, that last mixer, that night that JR got super butthurt and he walked away because she didn't pick him. Now it makes sense as to why she was so cold and cutthroat with him. Which good for her because Nick even said like the way he speaks to girls so sexualized is disgusting. And it truly is. We saw it with Justine, how he was with her at the girls' mixer, at the girls' day, and how he was very forward. It was uncomfortable as a viewer to watch. So I can only imagine how much more uncomfortable it was for Justine. Sandy even also shared that JR made it seem like he was having her back by saying these things, but she noticed that he would switch on and off when the camera was in his face, then when the camera was not in his face. And again, it just goes to show how performative he is. It goes back to him not being genuine. And I'm happy that now, being in this position, she knows that her and JR are not the perfect match, because JR was trying to convince everyone that they were, and no one was buying it but maybe himself. I think that he needed a storyline. I think that he came in real cocky, and ultimately he was his own demise. Sandy did say that obviously they wanted it to be messy. She knows for a fact that they brought in JR for her, the same way they brought Rachel for Clayton, or vice versa. Her season hadn't aired. She felt like she had to cooperate with production, because she shared this with Nick Viall, and she said, at the time I was being very willing to work with them, willing to work with production. And Nick's like, you know what? Had you told them that you did not fuck with this guy, they would not have pushed him on you like they did, filming. And she said, yeah, you know what? Lesson learned. Switching over gears from JR to Madison, I know I said this at the very beginning when we were talking about the cast before the season even aired, that Madison on her season of Love is Blind was not my favorite. I was actually rooting for her at the beginning, but towards the end, I didn't appreciate how she switched up, during the reunion, especially after she left with no one on Love is Blind. And Nick clocked it. He told Sandy, how was Madison during filming? And Sandy was very also hesitant to answer. She was like, yeah, she's nice. Like, she's like cool, I guess. Nick then told her, something about her. He just couldn't put his finger on it. He just told her, like, you need to keep your distance. And Sandy's like, oh, I did. And I don't know if it's because we see from the outsider's perspective, and even more so like Sandy, because she lived it. She even said something about her never sat right with her. Something about her just always seemed off. And I think as the viewers, we can see that. Nick even nailed it right on the head when he said, she is the type of person to, let's say, her and Freddie don't work out. She's the type of person to switch up on him so fast and say, ew, he works with dead people. Get the ick so quick for it to benefit her narrative. Because that's exactly what she did with Cody at the very beginning. That's exactly what she did with Alex in her season of Love is Blind. So I'm wondering to see how their relationship, connection, friendship is now in present time, her and Freddie. I doubt she's moved to the UK, but who knows? I don't follow her. I think she can be very manipulative, but yeah. Sandy will be on next week's episode of the Viall Files on Tuesday for the second portion of her interview. Obviously, Nick and the Viall Files, they get the exclusive. They can probably see screeners prior to the episode being aired because of his successful podcast and tenure in this podcasting world. So he said that he was going to have the second portion of her episode up on Tuesday, which we will be back to recap then, because they're going to recap the rest of episode 10, which was the finale today. But that's it for today for Perfect Match. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you guys agree with our whole point of view when it came to JR? And what did you think of Madison? If you watched her on Love is Blind, do you get where we're coming from when we say something about her just doesn't sit right with me? The same way something about Sierra on Love Island never sat right with me. And then we found out what we found out. But pop off in the comment section. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers, and have a happy Friday. Bye, guys.